So far, we have seen internet architecture and how uh, the data that reaches to you from the server till your home, and networking and many other concepts of networking in depth. So now I would like to demonstrate all these concepts in a practical way. So in practical way doesn't mean I will create all subnet. I will set up a router, and then I will set up a network. No, not like that. So Amazon Web Services is the one I'm going to take as an example. In that, how they have used all these concepts and put together, they have created a web of services. They have created a cloud services so that everybody can access it. So now let's directly jump right into the Amazon Web Services. So this is the Amazon Web Services homepage. So from here I will go to the VPC, that's Virtual Private Cloud Service. So here we can find all the concepts that were stitched together to make this virtual private cloud possible. So here you have all your VPCs. Now first let's begin with the subnet. Okay, subnet. So which region? We are in Mumbai region, that is in that is in India, Bharat. So in Bharat Mumbai region, we have three subnets. So let me click one of the subnet. And but what is a subnet? The term subnet makes the most sense in the context of a wide area network. Of course, it is related to the wide area network only. So what is a subnet? A subnet refers to the collection of routers and communication lines owned by the network operator. So here Amazon Web Services has their own subnet. In Mumbai, they have three. For the Mumbai region itself, they have three subnets. Here, three subnets means their routers. Sorry, their routers and transmission lines, communication lines has been subdivided into three subnets. Out of which we will select this first subnet. In this subnet, that subnet area consists of a subnet ID, and this is the subnet ARN which we use in Kubernetes. And then this is version 4 CIDR. What is CIDR? So we will look into that during when we talk about the internet protocol versions and subnet masking. Okay, so that time I will say, but in the simplest way of telling is this subnet can have IP address of version 4 from 172.31.32.0 till 172.31.32. Exactly I cannot say how many, but these 32 and 0 can be varied. These 32 and these two last two octets, these two octets can be varied. So based on that you can calculate a lot of amount of lot of number of addresses we can get it for subnet. But 172.31 is common for this all IP addresses of this subnet, and 32.0 can be varied till 255. You can go till 255. Here 0 to 255 you can go. Here from 32 to 255 you can go. So like that you can have a lot of combination. Here you can have 33 255, or 255 33, or 144 255. So a lot of combinations you can have here. So that's what CIDR do. And then see here they have mentioned available uh, IP version 4 addresses are 4091, 4091. So that was decided by this 20. Okay, this 20, what does it say? It is called subnet masking. We are going to discuss about this subnet masking in our forthcoming slides. And then this is the availability zone. and availability zone ID. So route table, what is a route table? We are going to look into that, and this is the virtual private cloud name. So this is all about a subnet, and this is how subnet works, and this is how a subnet looks. So now let us move towards a route table, because there we have seen a route table. So let's move to the route table directly. So what is a route table, or a routing table? A routing table is a set of rules often viewed in table format. So that is used to determine the best route to enter into the other address. So before understanding the rules of the route table, let's see what is a router first. What is a route and a router? A router is a device that acts as a gateway to a network, and also is responsible for forwarding packets or messages to destination addresses. In addition, a router determines the best routes for forwarding packets based on the information stored in the routing table. So now let's look into the routing table. So based on this understanding of the router. Okay. So a routing table is a table, or in best way, in if you put it in a proper way, it's a database. It's a database that stores the location of routers based on their IP addresses. So this table acts as an address map to various networks, and is usually stored in the RAM of most routers or forwarding devices. As such, a routing table contains information about various networks, and how to get to them, how to reach them, how to access them, how to catch them. So that is our routing table. For example, here we have one route table ID. So let's click on this route table and we'll see. This is the route table ID, and of course we cannot get it exactly that route table, but you can see these are the subnet association. These are the three subnet. This route table got associated with this ID, and then edge association, I don't think it's there. Route propagation, fine, that's it. Subnet association is very important, because the route table should be associated with certain subnets. So based on that, when data comes from the other network, that will be routed to this route table based on this subnet, and whatever missions, host missions that are presented in this subnet can be accessed through these route tables. So then from here, let's move towards um, uh, internet gateways. You can see this internet gateways. So what is internet gateway? A gateway or internet gateway is a device that routes traffic between networks. It is an intermediary piece of component that routes the traffic between different networks. It's intermediate between different networks. For example, at home, your router is your gateway. It provides a gateway between LAN, that's a local area network, and WAN, that's wide area network. So that's what is called internet gateway. If you want to explore more, you can just uh, here we have internet gateway ID. You can just click on the internet gateway ID, then we'll get a little bit of more information. But of course, this internet gateway ID, it belongs to this virtual private cloud, and this VPC belongs to Mumbai region, and this Mumbai region has three subnets. Okay, so then from here, let's move on to egress only internet gateway. So what does egress only internet gateway? So an egress only internet gateway is a horizontally scaled, redundant, and highly available virtual private cloud component that allows outbound communication over Internet Protocol version 6 from instances in your VPC to the internet, and prevents the internet from initiating an IP version 6 connection with your instances. So that is all about egress only internet gateways. This is little advanced concept, you don't need to understand a lot at this moment, but if you want to create this service in AWS, you can just click on create egress only internet gateway and then you can proceed forward. So now for this moment, let us move on to DHCP option sets. A DHCP option set is a group of network configurations used by EC2 instances. These are the virtual machines in AWS, Amazon Web Services, in your virtual private cloud to communicate over your virtual network. So each virtual private cloud in a region uses the same default DHCP option set basically to option set unless you choose to create a custom DHCP option set, or if you dissociate all option sets from your VPC. So then what is, just a minute, yeah, what is DHCP abbreviation? It's dynamic host configuration protocol. That's what DHCP is. DHCP is dynamic uh, host configuration protocol. So this is our DHCP option set. This is by default. If you want to create, you can create your own DHCP option set here. So let me look into the details first. Nothing much. The option set ID and then domain name and the owner. So let me click on DOPT and you can just access what is there. It's all about the same information. Okay, so now let's move on to elastic IPs. What is an elastic IP? An elastic IP An elastic IP address is a reserved public IP address that you can assign to any EC2 instance in a particular region until you choose to release it. So to allocate an elastic IP address to your account in a particular region, see, so basically normally what happens when you create an EC2 instance. Okay, let me just demonstrate this here. So let me copy this link and put it in yeah, once let me try to demonstrate this. Let me go to the EC2 instances service. Yeah, here it is. I'm in Mumbai region, so let me launch an EC2 instance in Mumbai region. Name, I'll just give Ubuntu. It's nothing special. So let me check Ubuntu and then 20.04 LTS. Then rest all remains same. I don't want to touch anything because it's just a sample, so I just want to proceed without key pair. Launch the instance. I want it as quick as possible. So then let me get back to the instance, and then here is the old instance. So this is the new instance, hasn't started, but you can see here this is the public IP. So basically auto assigned public IP. Okay, so now what happens, this public IP, if I just a minute, let me get back to this. Yeah, it's running. This is public IP. Just remember 15206.291. Let me copy this. Let me check the sticky note. Sticky note. Okay, let me close this and let me paste it. This is one, and public IP. Yeah, got copied. Yeah, this is our public IP. So now let me get back to the instance. Let me go to the instance state. Let me stop it. Let me stop the instance, and then once it's stopped completely, we will restart the instance and we will see what is the public IP, because that's auto assigned public IP. So let's stop it. Once it is completely stopped, then we will uh, restart the Ubuntu server, and then we'll check the public IP. So then we can discuss about what is elastic IP based on this. So normally why I'm doing this is to demonstrate the first thing about the auto assignment of the public IP, and then elastic public IP. So this is stopped completely. So if you click on this was the previous public IP. So let me get back, let me refresh it. So nothing is there. So public IP was gone, the auto assigned public IP was gone. So because the machine was stopped, only you have a private IP address that would be remain same for it. So now what I will do is I will get back to the instances again, and I'll restart this instance, and we will see what's going to happen. So it's pending, instance state is pending. So let's wait for a few more seconds. Once the server is up and running, let's check the auto assigned public IP or just public IP and see what is going to happen or what is gonna happen. Still it's on pending. I think we require few more seconds, nothing much. So let's wait for the few more seconds. Yes, it's done, it's all up and running. Let me click on this. Now the public IP is this. So let me go back to the sticky note and paste it. Okay, this is the latest public IP, and this is the world public IP. So whenever you start or restart or reboot the server, the public IP changes, because this is auto assign public IP. So if you, after deploying any application in any server of your machine, of your of in an EC2 instance in AWS, if the public IP changes, then how can you attach a domain to that? How can you attach a domain to that? How can you give this IP to somebody to access this application? It's difficult. So that is the reason, as these public IPs are auto assigned and they are not permanent, they will change every time the system got restarted and rebooted. So that is the reason we need an elastic IP. So what is elastic IP? An elastic IP is a reserved public IP address that you can assign to any EC2 instance in a particular region until you choose to release it. So to allocate an elastic IP address to your account in a particular region, just go to the elastic IP service in that VPC of in particular region. Now I'm in Mumbai, I just want to allocate elastic IP in this region. So now I will click on allocate public IP, sorry, elastic IP. Then so it will ask for the network border, so where I can give AP South 1 because it's in Mumbai. Then Amazon pool of IPv4 addresses, and go for the global static IP address. Then you click on this create accelerator, it will create, and then finally if you want to add, you can add tag and then click allocate. That will allocate the elastic IP, and then you can use this elastic IP for your EC2 instance. And then after that you can deploy your application in that instance, and then that instance can be given to anybody. The IP of that instance can be given to anybody, so that they can uh, access your application that you have deployed. This is all about elastic IP. We have taken enough time for elastic IP. Let's move to the endpoints. So endpoint, what is endpoint? An endpoint is the URL of the entry point for an AWS web service. The AWS software development kits and AWS command line interface CLI automatically use the default endpoint for each service in the AWS region, but you can specify an alternative endpoint for your API requests also. Endpoints are like many of the people knows about the endpoints, so I don't need to explain much about endpoints. If you want to create an endpoint and if you want to add any service there, you can give endpoint name, and then whether you want to use AWS services, click here, or whatever you want to do, you can use it, and here you can select the services that you want to have. See, uh, there you give the endpoint name. If you want notebook and then airflow, uh, it's all up to you. Anything you can make it and then create the endpoint. This is how we use endpoints, and we get the benefit out of the endpoints. A web service endpoint is an entity, processor, a resource that can be referenced and to which web services messages can be addressed. This is one example. And endpoint of reference, endpoint references convey the information needed to address a web service endpoint. So clients need to know this information before they can access a service. So if you want to create an endpoint service, this is the way you have to name it: my endpoint, and then service name, and then version 1. So either network endpoint, basically if you want to use the load balancer, the load balancer should act like a network load balancer or just like a gateway. So depends upon that you have to mention, and then finally supported IP type, and then create. So now let's look into NAT gateways. What is NAT? NAT abbreviation is Network Address Translation. Network Address Translation. A NAT gateway is a network address translation service. You can use a NAT gateway so that instances in a private subnet can connect to services outside your VPC, but external services cannot initiate a connection with those instances. So that's what is called a NAT gateway. If you want to create your own NAT gateway, this is the way. You have to click on create NAT gateways, and you can create your own NAT gateways. And then finally we have a peering connection. Peering connection that we have used a lot in our explanation. So what is peering connection? Now you can see practically a peering connection. For example, here in this case we are in Mumbai region, and we are in the virtual private cloud of Mumbai region, and this VPC consists of 3 subnets. So a VPC peering connection is a networking connection between 2 VPCs that enables you to route traffic between them using private IP version 4 address or private internet protocol version 6 addresses. Instances in either VPC can communicate with each other as if they are within the same network. If I want to put it very simply, so let me get back. As you have seen all the terminology of virtual private cloud practically, so now let me get back to the instances global view, EC2. Okay, I would find EC2 instance here only. So here it's EC2 global view. Let me click on this EC2 global view. So once we reach there, I'll show you something magical. Yep. So here, how many we have a lot of regions. For example, in Asia Pacific, Hyderabad is one region. Okay, we'll take Mumbai region. Mumbai has three subnets and one private VPC. And then we have Canada. Canada has one VPC and 3 subnets. So now, for example, I have opened and I have created an EC2 instance in Mumbai region here in this private cloud, and then there is one more EC2 instance in Canada in this private cloud VPC. So now if this one has to communicate with this, means how it is possible? This is only possible through the VPC peering connection, through VPC peering connection, virtual private cloud peering connection. That's what the peering connection I'm talking about, and this is how it works.